That's Nazare, the newest team member, which we're so happy to have. She's the new weaver. And then everything had to be hand sewn. So you can imagine lining up all the different rows together.
Ceifeira, linda ceifeira, eu hei de casar contigo. Acalma, ceifeira contigo.
That's Mertela.
Ceifeira, linda ceifeira, hás de ser o meu amor.
And the piece was also in Lisbon by design as part of the Flores Textile Studio room.
Há muita lã para tingir, muita lã para tingir.
There's a lot of wool to dye. There's a lot of wool to dye. So those were the two projects that we did. It was really incredible. I think it's brought a lot of visibility to the weavers. It's also, we're like a family now, and I think they already have orders until next year, so we have lots of orders coming in. Also for the traditional pieces, we were working on helping them create samples using the model from Prato, so that was, we weren't able to digitalize them yet. We're going to do that, but we were able to take the traditional patterns and on each threading of the loom, see which patterns could be put together, and you can see that downstairs, so that helps new orders come in, because now there's a clarity that we can have with the weavers and the designers where it's clearer how much a square meter costs, which patterns you can put together, the time it takes, the amount of wool it takes. So we have all of the information that we're using for the passports we can also then give to the designers. So this is good. I mean, our main target is more interior designers, and we also were working on the business model and trying to understand how we could help them enter the market. And what we really found was that we need to sell directly to the consumer. So I think this is also a really important discussion to have when we're speaking about local fibers and locally made and local markets, and how, you know, we have so many people in between the maker and the final person that just ends up escalating the price, and how can we actually give fair wages when we're adding all of those percentages. So I think it's important for us to understand that and see how we can work with that in this new age of resilience. And so there's a few more. Yeah. So this is Julie, the filmmaker. I just want to end really quickly, and also bringing younger generations there. That's all of us when Prato came to visit. And then these are the Lisbon by Design photos, and this is Extent, Weaving Tomorrow's Cloth. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. Many compliments to the weavers that joined our conference. I would like just to underline two very important facts. One of these I was saying that it's very impressive how the model of the Heritage Hub has been transferred to a completely different context, so passing from a fully industrial context like the Prato one to a completely artisanal and manual context, so we are very proud of what have been done. Okay, so I think it's time to leave the floor to the second pair, that means CreativeDev Athens and Prisme, with collaboration between Greece and France. Thank you.
Yes, that's for moving the slides. Yeah. Well, so we are from the Giver Hub of Athens, which was the art hub in the old creative project, and the new hub established in Montélimar by the team of Prism. And we have worked together in this project in order to transfer something that had started mainly from, again, industrial actors and who associated artists to a new hub, which was first a hub of cooperatives, of the world of the alternative economy, and who joined artists and also the textile sector to its activities. So next. So the Athens Art Hub, this is a slide that is summarizing what had happened with this hub. It was a competition between between students of the Fine Arts School of Athens that was organized to, with some thematics which were how to convey to the industry some more awareness about the importance of heritage valorization, about the themes around sustainability. And we have helped these ideas to be prototyped in collaboration with industry. And at the end of the game, we had an exhibition of what was done, a lot of prototypes, and some of the people there who had started to work with industry, while at the beginning they had not thought of this possibility of going from the one world to the other. So this was 3 years ago, and we took the opportunity of this project to revisit things and to see how they have evolved in the 3 years after all what Jesse has said before, the COVID, the rise of awareness about climate change and things like that. And we also transferred, together with the experience of our work 3 years ago, our experience of the evolution to the new hub of Montélimar. So, Nuno, it's yours.
Thank you. I would like to stress an important thing for me, which is the context. The importance of the context, as you have seen in Portugal, Mertola in the south of Portugal is a very rural, isolated area with old people and with a strong manufacturing tradition, all that stuff. Where we are in Montélimar, it's a very rural, natural area, but where you can find a lot of young people that goes there to escape this modern world. That there is a place near Montélimar which I consider, and I call it a reserve of Khmer Vert, of guys that are so radically ecolo whatever that they look like the Khmer Rouge, but in terms of ecology. So we are living in this area where this idea of escaping the end of the world, of delivering new ways of relationships and all that stuff are really important. So this is one important aspect that led to the approach and to the things that we have developed during this project. The second thing is that we are a cooperative, a special kind of cooperatives. Each one of us in Prisme has a different activity. I am a Euro whatever guy. I work with European projects and things like that. My colleagues that were involved in the project and that they are there, and we will then give them a major round of applause when you see what they've done. Each one of them works in a different thing. We have a couple of photographers. We have Anael that is our magician when it comes to tissues. And we have Frank that is an invitee, but is an invited person, but he's related to one of other colleagues. So we are about 50 entrepreneurs that do different stuff working in a cooperative. So these two aspects I would like to draw your attention because they have fashioned the way that we have approached and the things that we have done. So our approach, you can see there on those photos, we didn't do movie. It would be very nice, but we didn't do it. I'm kind of jealous of what you've done. We've done a double thing. I mean, our approach was double. From one side, this social and intergenerational thing. You can see there, it's Anael organized this broderie workshops with old ladies, 3 of them I think, that did that when they were young, but with younger people, with guys that have that are 5, 6 years, 8 years I think is the oldest, and they bring them together to experience from one side this idea of working with their hands, and on the other side of bringing together different generations. And it was Anael can give you more details, but it was something that brought to both of them the most of this bringing people together. One of the things that Anael said, I'm talking at her name in her name, but you can then exploit the thing further with her. One of the things she said is, and it was worsened with the pandemics, is that teachers are saying young children have less mobility with their fingers. I mean, to simply draw a line or to use their little hands to do a very simple movement of embroidery is complicated. They are losing this capacity of moving the fingers. So this was one of the activities that we have done. Another one was led by Charles, who is there also. And it also involves these 2 ideas of sustainability and this social side of it. He was working with, they were teenagers with special needs because they are too excited. These teenagers you cannot keep in a room. They have a special school for them. So he had to spend some time to convince them to listen to him, but then they listened to, and they did this experience of producing T-shirts and other things, mostly T-shirts, that they went to a thrift shop that worked with them, so they reused material, and they experienced this technique of impression, of printing, which is called cyanotype, which he uses as a photographer. And it was the occasion for working with these guys on their vision of the world, of sustainability and all that stuff. Why go to a thrift shop when you have all these Adidas and Nike shoes that come out every month? So why go for secondhand clothing? And why and what would be important for them to print on their T-shirts, etc., etc. And from that experience, there is at least one of these teenagers that could be saved and become someone more environmental responsible and all that stuff. We also did invite our colleague Anne-Laure, she's also a photographer, at the beginning to do whatever she wanted as a photographer. Of the process in a more documentary way. But then she got too involved, which is something that can happen, and she actually started doing a different thing, and you can see that at the entrance, of mixing the textile with her photos. She went through her archives, and she has done with the help of Anaël also, this kind of blending the two worlds, and the best way of describing it is if you see them at the entrance. I really like the result. And then we have Frank that has done a transformation job. Frank is an artist, and with the help again of Anaël and another girl that works particularly with shoes, he deconstructs. Frank, he likes to deconstruct things and then bring them again together in a different way. So this is what he has done. So about our experience, there is this. We have also done some upcycling workshops with teenagers. So our experience was actually about how this sustainability of how to look differently on the way we use and we produce the stuff that we put ourselves in on our bodies, and at the same time working about this relation to the others. And I insist. I think that this is. We went this way because of this context, because of this place where we are, and that makes us think and interact with each other and the what's around us in that particular way. So
yeah,
we can go just say what to do.
Yes, just to say that in fact, yes, you had formed a hub with your environment, which looked at different aspects of the sustainability, both in terms of how it can be a tool for a social integration, for intergenerational cooperation, and also for a new model of development pushed through people like the working in the social economy and in the sustainable economy, with their environment, and especially you have a lot of things about people involved in new materials and recycling around you who had cooperated in your activities. But we started, as all of the other hubs, with we have. Sorry. Yes. Our bilateral collaboration was based on meetings that were organized almost each month, called Au fil et à des mesures, in which we had the opportunity to leave the floor to people involved in the hub of Montélimar, and to be commented by people who are from the Athens Hub, and who tried to provoke some discussion and to raise some cooperation between the members of the hub, in order to have it transformed from individual projects to more associated projects and bilateral projects. That's a little bit what we had done through the bilateral meetings. After that, we started with the participation in the Tcbl days, in the different activities of the project. The titles of our different meetings were about sustainability, about the question from the farm to the fashion, looking at the different new natural materials, old materials, but which have a new future. This was especially the focus of a session that we had in April. We also worked about, as it was told before, we had a business canvas, which was the one of Athens. On the base of that, we have looked how it can be transformed into a business canvas for the hub, created on the basis of a cooperative. Do you want to say some words on that, Nuno?
This was an interesting exercise because it was the first thing that we have done within the cooperative. Honestly, it is still like that. We haven't been working on that before, afterwards. It was interesting for us because, first of all, this is the first European project that is where we are partners as a cooperative. As I said to you, all my colleagues do different things. So I went there and saying, guys, we have this project, it will be fun. I had to convince them that it would be fun. And then you show them an Excel file or a PowerPoint like that, and they say, what the hell do you want from us? And so this was the first test that we have put ourselves confronted to, and it allowed us to better understand where we were standing, so that the major usefulness of this is to put this to pinpoint, to say, here we are. Now, the interesting idea is that if eventually, with all this work where we were trying to involve the ecosystem around us, if the energy that we have produced manages to evolve, and in a couple of years look at this and say, if eventually there is some kind of evolution, and if eventually this is more than what it is right now, that is just a slide of a PowerPoint. But it was a very interesting thing for us to say, this is where we are standing, because from there you can imagine where you can go or where you want to go. So this was the first possibility of showing to my colleagues, this will be fun. They kind of appreciate it in the end. Yeah.
Yes, another exercise that we have had, it was to have a Transhub Workshop, and where we put profiles from the hub in Montélimar facing two profiles coming from the connections of the hub, the Art Hub in Athens. To be more precise concerning the second one, we wanted also to provide some European dimension, because the hub in France was very local, and we wanted to open them a little bit more to what happens elsewhere. So that's why we have connected them with the things coming from the Tcbl network. And from the projects we have some in other places, and also with people who are between Greece and France. In order also to have French speakers, because this was one experience in this CreativeWear PLUS project, which was different from the CreativeWear project. The communications between the hub and the old CreativeWear were in English, exclusively in English. Sometimes this has provoked some problems of participation for local actors. Here we have an example of the exact opposite. We had very perhaps almost no presence of English. It was a French-speaking world that put some problems for communication with some other apps and some other partners, but had the advantage of pushing locally much more the exchanges and the reflection and the forming of a community of actors than perhaps in the previous project. So to illustrate a bit the diversity of the people that we had in this bilateral setting, we had these different presentations. If you want to say some words on the French experience that were presented.
Well, again, we used all these events to try to bring people together, at least to connect them. From our side, starting with the colleagues in the cooperative, it allowed us to work together. It allowed us to develop concrete work together. And there, in this workshop, we showcased the work of Anaël. She's the centerpiece of all this thing, because she's the one that leads with the fashion and the textile among us. And then we try to bring other guys. So the ones with La Réserve des Arts, they provide kind of a huge place where they have all this material they recover from theaters and whatever, and textile producers, etc., that they make available to reuse in different formats, mostly for artists, so they can pick up all that stuff and use them. And they are based in Paris, and they have one section in Marseille. And then Leo Peralta, who is working in Marseille, and that produces unique pieces using, in particular, using garbage, because it's something that we are very used to in Marseille. So we appropriated this thing to produce new clothes. If we put everyone that has participated in these webinars and these workshops from the beginning, we covered an area that is still very local. Once again, this idea of the context that shapes what we do and these relationships. But still, we are talking about things that are happening at in a radius of, I don't know, 100, 150 kilometers, with different types of professionals and institutions. So now the challenge would be how to put these people, how to nourish these relationships and these first acquaintances, how to provide the conditions so that new projects or new corporations can emerge from these first encounters.
And from the Greek side, we had first from the Tcbl side, we had the circularity dimension, provide more information about some things happening at this moment, some reflections that exist, which are quite advanced in terms of designing for circular and in terms of new materials that we have through the CreativeWear project, and in order to bring to people like the people who are involved in the French experience some concrete additional reflection on where we are going in terms of circularity and what can be used, what can be reused, what are the models, and what are the materials that can be used. We had also we transmitted another experience to show how from the CreativeWear experience, one of our old beneficiaries of the experience, an artist who still quite active in Greece, has reflected on making a small size hub in Athens. That was the studio space. And we took someone who is much more cultural business consultant to bring his own experience in terms of how the challenge of sustainability and circularity has influenced his professional path. And he, for instance, brought us a reflection about the importance of music, which was one of the absence in our settings, and after that it was followed by a discussion around that.
I'd like to say about this circularity and sustainability thing. One of the things that we all agreed during all these conversations is the meaning. Things have to have a meaning. If all these people are going to the Drôme area, these new guys that are moving in, these Khmer Vert that installed there, is because they are in the quest for meaning. You mentioned, we all mentioned, and Fatima just said, all these pieces, we say how much time, or we try to demonstrate the time that it takes, so that the consumer will understand that we are asking a certain price. Mostly we do it for that, because otherwise people will say, it's too expensive. The question here is, we are all here in this room convinced of the meaning and the price of that, of the fairness of asking a certain price, because those pieces are unique, etc. The question here is, how can we convince all the other people that there is a sense, there is a meaning for choosing something that has a meaning, while I can have it much cheaper? At the end of the day, a lot of people will look at these magnificent carpets that are done in Mertula, and another one that is made in Bangladesh, and it comes to you and it costs 1/10 maximum, and won't see the difference, won't understand why should I get the other one. This is the challenge, because all of us, we can understand that the one from Mertula is absolutely amazing, but at the end of the day, the shift that we are still working to achieve is to convince the other guys that it doesn't make sense to have the Bangladeshi. Nothing against Bangladesh, of course. This is something that we were, at every time that we were talking about meaning. All of these meetings and all these exchanges that we had, at some point, the question was the meaning. And the risk here is that we enter into some new age thing that you go for a certain type of products because it brings you inner peace and all that stuff. We should not go also into that direction. This is the risk.
Just to support on the question of meaning, I think that this was the quest for meaning was illustrated in our workshop, both by the experience of living in Canada and working for big businesses, and after that coming back in France and choosing to work in a local context in much with things that have more meaning, and also with this consultant that was working in some big businesses, and now he starts with works with startups and tries to find projects with meaning. Okay.
Paul wants to. He wants us to finish. So about the lessons we have stated from in different ways what we have learned. I would underline. You have all these words there. I would underline the context. This idea of the geographical context, the social context that is absolutely that shapes you. About what happens specifically in France, that is eventually a little bit different of what is happening elsewhere. We are really observing this kind of migrations, internal migrations, people working out from Paris or secondary villages and cities and go for smaller places. And this idea of the made in France that has become really important, and this is a personal point of view, I would say that is mostly as a slogan to sell rather than a very sincere sustainability approach. In any case, the last bold thing that is there about the idea of reinforcing or of the exhaustions of these success stories, it relates to this idea of the quest for meaning. There is this quest for meaning, which means that this idea of becoming rich with a nice economic something is not so glamour nowadays. It doesn't mean that we are going into the right way, but I think it's not as glamour as it was. Still, we have a startup president, so I'm not so sure of the future. Voilà.
Now, just to close back to what Jesse was saying at the beginning, what we have seen in this experience is how the turbulence has affected the different settings that we had in our first experience in Athens, and this turbulence. In fact, now we have get acquainted to it. We know that there is a climate change. We know that we have pandemics that can come from time to time. We know that peace is not a permanent situation. And within this context, we see, however, that whenever a new possibility of having a normal life appears, we have the actors with which we have worked, which are ready to mobilize again and to work again. And also we continue to see this important and central role in CreativeWear and CreativeWear PLUS of those who are the creatives, of the artists. The creatives and the artists are the ones who are taking things from the heritage, which are taking the things from news, from the what happens, and transform that in messages which are shaping a bit the conditions for the future and can influence the actors, like the actors of the industry, in going in new directions, in understanding the new challenges, and in providing them some hints or some questions, just some questions, to start to find a way to adapt and to take advantage of what at the beginning seems to be a new obstacle.
So to end, I would just ask my colleagues they get up so that you can know those that have done things, because I'm only a project officer. So those are the brave people. Don't hesitate to ask to talk to them when they are nice people, you know.
And I also, from the Greek team, please stand up. Yes, you, but also the people of CreativeWear who had helped us to revisit the past and to look at the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thanos and Nuno. Also, be aware that after the coffee break, which is postponed a few minutes, there will be a possibility for local stakeholders also to speak more, to express also their experience. So your role is not only standing up, but if you want to speak up, there will be some time later on. Okay, so as I said, the coffee break will be postponed, probably of about 20 minutes from now, because we want to host the next presentation from Arca, that is Luca, and Rash, that is Mariana, and also I think the friends from Palermo want to join on the stage. Please.
Hello to everybody.
Hi.
Well, I'm Luca Leonardi. I'm from Consorzio Arca, the incubator of the University of Palermo. Here with me on the stage there is Sergio Daricello, who is a professor at the Academy of Fine Arts. That is the people together with Martina, that is there, also professor at the Academy. That help us in developing from scratch the activity, the transfer activity with our colleagues from Bosnia. Okay, so. You know that our project is based on a model that we delivered during the first project, the CreativeWear project, and we can say that for Palermo was really a huge work that started with Tcbl, as Jesse Marsh said before. I said a huge activity and exercise because we start really from scratch. We don't have an ecosystem devoted to textile and clothing there. We will have people that work on textile and clothing, small and medium enterprise on the territory. We have for sure the academy, but it was not linked with us in that previous project. We have quite a big number of artisans around the city of Palermo, but we don't have the possibility to call it a real ecosystem or having a model to apply on that in order to ignite collaboration and so on. So we start really from scratch, talking with all the stakeholders in Palermo. And we built with them this canvas. We work and we fill this canvas together with them. We had a series of co-creation activities and seminars. For sure, in that period, we were not under the pandemic, so we meet a lot of time in presence, and we deliver this activity. And as Jesse said before, our model was based mainly of a service hub, we can see, because our stakeholder asked for them. They ask us also to have some equipment that they can buy in their companies, or if are, for example, creatives and artists, they don't have the possibility to use them, or sometimes they don't have any idea how to use them. So our concept was really to build a real lab, so a physical lab, where people can meet, can work. They have the possibility to stay there, to have a desk, to have a Wi-Fi connection, and so on. On the other side, we have the possibility to aggregate people, to aggregate companies, and so on. For sure, as I told before, we are an incubator. So our wish also was to align our activities as incubator with this new lab. So to have the possibility also to help and support new ventures, not only startups that comes from disruptive innovation and so on, but also to help artisans or to help creatives to be connected with the market or to go on the market. One main activity and event we did that was seen as not only as a showcase of our activities, but really was the expression of a new opportunity in Palermo to have really a lab that aggregates all these stakeholders. It was Vestino. Vestino, we have seen a growth during our activities. Instead, we start with the first Vestino that we have at least 20-25 points around the city, because Vestino was built as a fest around the city, when we can see open up shops, artisan ateliers, museum, for example, with the gallery of arte moderna, yes, the modern art in Palermo, and so on. And we arrived with the second event, the second year of Vestino, that we have at least 100 of ateliers and shops, and where all the partners come to Palermo. We had the possibility also to organize a seminar with other European projects. So we see really the birth of our hub as an aggregator. I'm also very proud of the other two Vestinos that were made during the pandemic, because that were made that show really the resilience of our work with our stakeholder, because it was quite little events, but with more or less the same stakeholder that comes also in time of pandemic to cooperate with us. This is a journey from art to textile and back was one of that, and this is also another event that was made during that Vestino about a co-design activity for new ventures in artisanate and textile and clothing. Also, the last year we made another activity linked with the other European project we managed at Arca, like Creative, that will be presented after by Lorena, our colleagues. And so I'm very proud of this because it shows the resilience of our ecosystem. What we did with Zepce was really to convey this idea of creating a community. Before to arrive to the result, the final result that is for sure important for us, but also for the people we came along in our labs, both in Zepce and in Palermo, so the artists and so on. But it is important really to create the connection, to create the possibility to develop things and then to bring them to the market, or at least to the people, to the new customer and so on. And another very important thing is that we ignite and develop this new collaboration with the Academy of Fine Arts, that we work on this during years, but we don't succeed. And now, thanks to Sergio and Martina, we ignite this. And this is very important to work with the young people and to help them in their path in this sector. Another important thing is the aggregation of small and medium enterprises that work on textile and clothing, mainly on clothing production in Palermo. That is an activity that they develop by their own, but with the Mythos Fashion District. But this Mythos Fashion District was born during the pandemic, and this is another signal of resilience. And many of these 60 companies were part of Tcbl, and before that we met them and was also cooperating with the CreativeWear at the beginning. So now the hub is participated by quite a good comp of companies, artisans, young people through the academy, and so on. So this is very important for us. And for sure, we think that the cooperation with Zepce was successful, not only for the results, as I said before, but seeing what they did there with the community and the model they developed, we see that they catch and seize the opportunity to create a real community. Thank you. I don't know if, well, we go with the results before? Okay, so sorry.
Buongiorno everybody. I apologize first of all for my English. I'm here. First I want to thank Luca for having involved the Academy of Fine Arts, my coordinator, there is Martina Pecorino here, and of course me. The experience was very, very great, I would say like that, because, well, Luca gave us the chance to create, along with a thread, just a cultural bridge that helped us to create something different and new, exchanging with Dino, with Zepce, all the things that we know and you know, to create, well, something new that has like a soul in common. I would say that this process involved the Academy of Fine Arts in Palermo, the course of decoration and fashion design, and we developed 3 projects. The first one is tied to the cultural heritage of the decoration of the Normans present in Palermo in the laboratory of the Royal Palace of the 12th century. There, the work of our students of the colleague was to archive the images and recreate them in a new way using, well, a traditional technique with the carving and working with natural colors to dye all the fabrics that are natural and recycled and recycling. And the colors used to print were naturals too. So it has still the spirit we started with. Then the other project went to the shirt. What is a shirt? Well, a white shirt is a basic thing. Maybe it doesn't mean anything else than its use. But giving a simple shirt a meaning, using embroidery the traditional way we used to embroider garments and fabric, gave the shirt a new soul to express what we all felt during this hard pandemic period. These shirts are like the white screen to project and to show the feelings of every one of us, scare, all these kind of emotions. No one was free, and these feelings are present in this project. The third project, aimed by upcycling and recycling, and I really want to thank Tcbl and her staff, because they provided us the traditional patterns from Bosnia, traditional costumes. Using traditional patterns, we tried to create new patterns, not just changing something, adding a different point of view. And we create a new traditional costume according of your patterns. And for this, I really appreciate that. The last path was also the embroidery. We got provided of the traditional embroidery, and one of our students decided to use it on a recycled rubber carpet using recycled wool, creating like a fur of recycled wool following the drawings of the Bosniak tradition. And really it was quite interesting to see how in a different way you can recreate some new other patterns. I think that's all, and really thank you, and I want to thank you again, Martina, that she is there, and I'm here in her own person too.
Thank you. The last thing is that you can see after the results of this collaboration in the corridor at the entrance with all the other results of the other apps. You have. Okay.
I have. I want to thank all for because you invited us to involved in this project. And I want to tell Dino, can you go sit with me? Dino is our designer, fashion designer, who created some of the product in this project. Can you?
Sorry, this one is, well, some of the project we did in Italy following the traditional costumes. I think you can go on just very fast. This is the job that our students made to recreate the traditional patterns and the way they worked. at the end, traditional can be also fashion.
Can you show us my presentation for development agency?
Francesco era legato alla mia, era seguente alla mia. Cioè c'era la mia, era tutto insieme.
Okay. At the beginning of the project, we created canvas for Textile Hub Žepče, in which fashion designers, creative schools and faculties, companies and craftsmen and NGOs were involved. And the Textile Hub Žepče brings together companies, crafts, fashion designers, NGOs as the main participants of Hub in order to launch activities to involve creatives in development of innovative and sustainable products based on the post-industrial textile waste. The thematic strategy of Hub is the use of post-industrial waste in order to create new products. Hub has its own space within the Center of Business Competence, which includes Textile Workshop with sewing machines and equipment for design, restructures and sewing of textile products, classroom space for meetings and trainings, and all the necessary computer support. On the pictures you can see some workshops during the project in which Dino Hadžiavdić, designer, was included, Delila Bečirović and the Empress Company from Zenica. Members of the Textile Hub Žepče are 8 textile companies, 6 textile crafts, 20 creatives, 3 designers and 2 secondary schools. Why should you join the Textile Hub Žepče? To become part of the value-based community in which different types of organizations work together to create a low-risk environment for innovation business models. Service for the members are workspace, workforce trainings, professional supports and promotion. At the pictures are from the local exhibition which was held during this month. Can you, Dino, tell us something about?
Hello everybody, my name is Dino. I am the designer with the development agency of Žepče, and I'm also a little bit nervous. I'm going to blame the heat and the humidity. About the work that we did, the whole concept revolved around the idea of recycling textiles and how we as designers and those who participate in the textile industry can do their job more efficiently and more responsibly. So the things that we developed were basically based on 2 concepts. The first concept was trying to use the pieces of textiles that we already have, that were already discarded, such as textile that have like slight physical deformities or were made as a result as various production lines. And the second second concept was the concept where we tried to devise a way to minimize the production of the textile waste. So the first concept was the concept where we developed the code that you can see in the corner, which consisted out of 220 pieces, where we used the textile textile waste, sorry. My English decided to evade my brain suddenly. And the second concept was where we used traditional patterns and we made a few dresses and few shirts where none of the textile waste was produced. The third piece that you can see as the part of this exhibition was made as a collaboration project between Palermo and Raj, where we decided to do a slightly modernistic interpretation of traditional Sicilian silhouettes and embroidery from the 19th century, and I would like to personally say thank you to Sergio and Martina for providing us with the materials that we used as inspiration details to create that particular dress. Also, we tried to stick to the concept where we used textiles responsibly. So we sourced the materials from by recycling bed linens, curtains, and remnants of the faux leather that was used in furniture making. So we try to still recycle and upcycle materials that we had at our disposal.
Thank you, Dino. Empress has made cover beds, some backpacks, and Dalila has made the jewelry from the textile and the dress made by the method of the patchwork. And positive outputs from us was the successful cooperation with Arka, who gave us a knowledge, successful cooperation with secondary schools from Žepče and Zavidovići. We have relaunched the collaboration with the local creatives, 40 creatives familiar with the possibility of using textile waste in your products. We have 4 workshops in which they were involved. 60 high school students from the textile schools from Žepče and Zavidovići acquired new knowledge in the field of circular economy and the use of textile waste for new products. The textile waste was from the companies from Žepče and Maglaj, and we thank you for that. 50 new products were created during the project, designed and made from the textile waste by 3 designers who worked with the creatives on their design. Successful cooperation with the Palermo Academy of the Fine Arts. One dress was made by the Dino and Tcbl, inspired by the 19th century of Sicily. Transfer of knowledge and experience of textile companies from Italy, Portugal, Greece, enabled companies in big through the organization of national workshops were very well helped. Research of the state and the amount of positive industrial waste in companies operating the textile industry in Bih was conducted. We have just some small issues during the project, the COVID-19 pandemic, but at all we have a good cooperation with Arka, and thank you, Arka. And the last, we want to thank you all project partners, and we want to thank you, Dino, for this collaboration. And we, in front of us, from the development agency is our team and the director Branka Janko. Thank you, director, for giving us the opportunity and for me to be involved in this project. And we want to thank you all and invite you in Žepče to visit us in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's time to have a break, take a breath, and be back in, let's say, 12:5. We are here for the round table. Try to be punctual. So 5 minutes after 12, we are back. See you then. We start again with a round table to talk about a few projects that originated from the CreativeWear project, from the original one. And after that, there will be the possibility for stakeholders that want again to share their impressions about the project, to talk shortly, I have to say, about what was their experience with the CreativeWear PLUS project. But that is after the roundtable. And then at the end of this morning session, we will also visit the exhibition, which is a structure like Palermo, together with Russia at the beginning, downstairs at the beginning of the corridor, and there we will listen to the explanations of the two hubs, of their works, of their projects. Then walking along the corridor towards the exit, we will have the explanation of the Evora Prato, a textile museum of Prato works. And then at the end, we will have the final with Athens and Prisme, that is Montelimar. Okay, so let's start with the roundtable. We start with videos. So we start with the first video is from, we can have a look at the one from Tcbl, from Takis. If we can launch the video, please.
Tcbl, Textile and Clothing Business Labs, is a research and innovation project funded by the European Union's Horizon 2020 programme. Tcbl brings together 22 organisations from 11 EU member states. The 4-year plan runs from July 2015 through June 2019. Tcbl is building a multifaceted business ecosystem of textile and clothing enterprises, innovation labs, service providers, and business advisors, all working together to create alternative paths to overproduction and diminishing value. The project's goal is to return 5% of production capacity to Europe and reduce the industry's environmental footprint 20% by the year 2025. Redirect the EU's T&C sector away from price-based competition to move towards knowledge-based competition instead, in order to reach economic, environmental, and social sustainability. In its first 2 years of operations, Tcbl has built a valued-based community of 136 enterprises, 28 business labs, 75 expert advisors, 12 service providers, 7 startups, all of whom are working together towards shared goals. The Tcbl ecosystem is composed of 4 types of associates who actively contribute to the project's goals. Labs provide innovation spaces for creativity, entrepreneurship, and a small production, with shared facilities, learning materials, case studies, challenges, and solutions. Associate enterprises are textiles and clothing businesses of any size who wish to innovate business systems to build a more inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous production ecosystem. Associate advisors are consultants of various forms who provide technical support to the various elements of the Tcbl community. Associate services are a range of online business services that help member companies effectively deploy new business model concepts. The Tcbl community creates a low-risk environment in which to experiment with new systems. Its complex structure, built of community and services, helps fuel innovation. Benefits of joining are immediately becoming part of a community of innovative companies under Tcbl label, getting access to services that test innovative approaches to the revitalization of the textile and clothing sector, becoming part of the co-design of innovative value chains to benefit your businesses. Joining the Tcbl community is easy and free. Simply log in at the top of the website and fill out the simple profile information requested. As a registered member of the Tcbl community, you'll receive a monthly newsletter and can join in on forum discussions on the website. You will also have access to a range of services that you can access with the same login. Registered members can choose to take further steps towards involvement as one of the types of associates. Tcbl, reinventing the European textile and clothing sector by exploring new ways to design, make, and work together. Join the movement.
So we go on to next CreativeWear video.
European project CreativeWear, Textile Heritage Inspiring Creatives, co-funded by the Creative Europe program, aims to promote the cultural heritage of the European textile sector as a potential source of inspiration for tomorrow's designers. The project's partnership, coordinated by the Museo di Tessuto in Prato, Italy, is composed of 5 cities in which textiles feature strongly: Santo Tirso in Portugal, Gironella in Spain, Lodz in Poland, and Bruges in Sweden, all of which belong to ACTE, the European Textile Collectivities Association. The project focuses on raising awareness and strengthening archival and conservation skills, offering innovative design experiences to young creatives inspired by archival materials, and the acquisition of skills and services leading to new market opportunities. The Inspiring Heritage Database is a digital archive that stores examples of textiles, costumes, and accessories available in partner territories, in museums, company archives, and training institutes. In spring 2019, European creatives under 30 were called to design collections of textile, fashion, or interior design inspired by the Textile and Clothing Heritage Archive available on the CreativeWear Inspiring Heritage Database. 14 talented designers were selected, up to 3 from each partner, to take place in a residency cycle. From June to September 2019, the CreativeWear Creative Residency Cycle took place in the 5 territories involved in the partnership. This was an innovative design experience with in-depth study of the textile and clothing sector through study visits at textile company archives, meetings with professional designers, and trips to fashion and textile design museums. Each partner hosted 3 designers from a different CreativeWear territory in order to encourage exchange of ideas and experiences. From September to November, designers worked on their heritage-inspired collections that in December will become a traveling exhibition. CreativeWear Project's final conference took place in December 2019 at the Straczynski Academy of Art in Lodz. The 2-day event illustrated the activities and results of the project, focusing on the CreativeWear's approach to strengthening archival conservation skills. The event was also an occasion to promote the month-long exhibit of 14 mini collections developed by Createx young designers from Portugal, Sweden, Spain, Italy, and Poland, who participated in a residency and were inspired by the European Textile and Costume Heritage Archives. These heritage archives were made modern through a range of styles, from silhouettes inspired by the 1940s to contemporary urban cuts, folk culture to high-tech. Trends like sustainability appear in couture-level gowns, while digital innovation is applied to printing for interior design, with traditional as well as modern textures, as well as to graphic jewelry and accessories. A catalog of these works and the story behind their production is now available at createxproject.eu.
Yes, the third and last one is coming.
During the last years, the Mediterranean sector of textile, clothing, leather, and footwear have been affected by economical slowdown and a very strong competition from Asia.
The Creative Project is a project that supports traditional industries of textile, clothing, leather and footwear in the Mediterranean
by building bridges between these sectors and the creative industry.
The Creative Project is implemented by 11 European partners in the Mediterranean area, and they are from 6 different countries:
Spain, Italy, Egypt, Tunisia, Jordan and Palestine.
Creative mainly targets MSMEs, fashion designers and artists,
university, research centers and different associations.
And we want to involve in all the project activities local public authorities and local communities.
Creative aims to make the MSMEs of the traditional sectors in the Mediterranean more competitive, and thus to create new jobs and also secure existing jobs.
It will extend a network of existing business labs and creative hubs in partners countries that will offer opportunities to experiment new relations and support cooperation between creatives, designers, businesses and artisans.
One of the most important goals of the project that will be focused to final beneficiaries is the launching process of an open call. This call will create new business model and will offer the opportunity to access to cutting-edge technologies and coaching and mentoring services offered by the labs to be created in the project, but also will be granted.
During the Creative Project, different solutions and results will be obtained. The creation of 6 business labs with different services. The support of 16 pilot projects with mentoring, matchmaking and sub-grants.
Moreover, a financial tool will be created and different observatories in order to promote and boost the new business models created.
Vogliamo stimolare giovani e non solo a scommettere attraverso la creatività in nuovi progetti di impresa.
It's a new participatory culture in textile ecosystem.
Okay, so we have the basis to talk about these 3 projects, which are the seeds sown by the CreativeWear project along the years. We have 3 representatives of the projects, so Thanos will help to ask a few questions. Also, if you have questions, we can share and see how the CreativeWear project has really sown the seeds of this kind of approach?
Well, so I am the one who is in charge of asking the questions, which are the most important thing, according to Jesse, but we also like to have the answers. Could you tell about your experience in extending the application of CreativeWear through other projects, or how, on the contrary, for instance, for Tcbl, you transferred from Tcbl to CreativeWear and CreativeWear PLUS? So, do you want to start?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I start? Yes. So, Creactive is an NECBC funded project. As you saw, we took the CreativeWear model exactly as it is. So we took the canvas and the existing labs from CreativeWear that are also partners in this new project, that are Prato with its Heritage Hub, Palermo with the Crowd Hub, and Valencia with the Eco Hub. Transferred their knowledge, the model, and helped the southern partners from Palestine, Tunisia, and Egypt to establish a creative hub in their territories. So we have now new hubs, Techno Lab, Design Lab, and Net Lab in the southern shore of the Mediterranean, with a whole bunch new stakeholders, universities, creatives, artists, a big artisan community, because these countries have a really big artisan tradition, but also the small and medium micro enterprises.
Yes.
Filippo.
Yes. Okay. For what concerns Createx project, it was a 2-year long project which has been financed through the Creative Europe program. So the preparation of the project was financed by ACTI, ACTE, the association. So, and thank you to Besnik, who wrote the project very successfully. And it started in 2018 and ended after the outbreak of the pandemic. We involved 5 institutions in 5 countries, as you saw in the video. The most important thing I would like to stress now is that we tried to transfer the model of the Prato Heritage Hub into different territories. All the territories are strongly connected with past and contemporary textile production, like Santo Tirso in northern Portugal, or Huci in Boros, or Huci in Poland, or Boros in Sweden, and Gironeia in Catalonia. But we changed, comparing with the CreativeWear project, we changed the target. We addressed the activities, so we involved young designers, and we stressed the importance to exploit the, let's say, the educational added value of heritage. So how the heritage and the exploitation of textile heritage can be a very important, let's say, tool to develop educational activities. Then we organized residencies, so allowing students moving from one country to the other one, while the CreativeWear activities were mostly based at local level. So these are the most important differences. But the experience was very, very positive, and let's say the receiving countries were very happy and very enthusiastic about the experimental application of this model.
Thank you. It's about Tcbl?
Yes, I would like to take you back to the beginning, because this will show us the future as well. That's in my mind. First of all, Tcbl was not the beginning. The beginning was TexMedin, which was another project in 2009. And it's very nice that I see all these similar faces that we started this trip in the heritage world and in the fashion world. And you have to understand that my background is from the Association of Clothing Manufacturers in Greece. So we always live in a turbulent environment, and we're always trying to find new ideas and new services to offer to our members, but also to expand our horizons and our knowledge in different areas. So through Texmedin, we opened this view of heritage and of the museum and another world of designers. Then came Tcbl, and that really created a completely new world for us. We developed the hubs, the labs that were so-called in Tcbl, and we opened to new horizons like a place lab, the make lab, which were different type of offering different types of services than the ones that we offered until then. And that created also CreativeWear, which created the hubs, and that brought us together and closer to the artists, to the cultural sector, and to the industry that we always represented. And of course, the video that we showed was of Tcbl is a quite old video, and this has changed a lot after the pandemic and whatever has happened. And following Jesse's presentation this morning, it's clear that Tcbl.eu, the new association that is being created, is being populated. In my mind, is the best opportunity of all these different services and all these different hubs, all labs that are created all over Europe and the Mediterranean, to somehow be connected under this overall umbrella of Tcbl. And so I think that the past and the way it has progressed, and with all this turbulent environment and all these changes that are coming every now and then, is the way forward. We all should support the new Tcbl association and move forward and see how we can progress and we can expand the model of CreativeWear PLUS as well.
Thank you all. I just had a sentence. It is amazing how through these different projects, some weak signals which existed in the surrounding, through this community work, through putting different types of communities together, all the projects have this common characteristic. We are arriving today in something where these weak ideas have become very strong, and the turbulences, and they are all part of the answers to the turbulence of today. And this is very promising for the future and for the future of Tcbl, etc. So, the second question, what do you think has changed while applying the model, especially during the last 2 years? Have the turbulences that we have had through the COVID, through the war, through also the place about climate change, which has become now completely acknowledged as a problem, how these changes have affected what we have done through these different projects before, and especially what we have done in CreativeWear PLUS.
Okay, can I start? Well, you already heard this morning Francesco, that is a textile entrepreneur, the disasters that came to the businesses in the last 2 years. So if we start with the, I don't know, no raw materials, energy prices skyrocketing, and so on, the businesses are trying to survive really hard, and they are finding this new resilience. But besides this, I think you call it turbulence, but I think it's a real disaster what is happening in the past 2 years. But I think we have to be a little bit optimistic this times, and hope that we are out of the pandemic, hope that the war will be over. And we have to take the opportunity now, because people are really aware now that something has to change. We have to change our production and consumption models, and the time to change is now, because once all these disasters are over, people will start to forget, and will start to forget really quickly. So I think the main message to take away from all that happened in the past years, and also in implementing our hubs network, is to act now and start to implement the new business models that put humanity and the environment as the first values, and make the changes now.
Thank you for your strong and positive position.
I confirm the same approach. I think that so many things have changed when we started working with first CreativeWear, and also so the situation is changing more and more. But I think that all these challenges, all these crises are only confirming the validity of the values that are at the base of the CreativeWear idea and its principles. So the idea to believe in local value chains, to believe in quality, to let's say not to have a limitation of international supply chains, and to focus on artisans, on connection with communities, and sustainability, which is something that probably when we started working with CreativeWear, it was something that was in the air but was not so important, but today is the most important point that we have to focus on also for the future.
Thank you for your message.
I absolutely agree with what you said. What we are facing now, I think, is also a very big problem that we have, not only in Greece but in Europe, is also skills shortage. And we see a lot of companies, at least in the clothing sector, trying to find specialists, and we cannot find this type of people. The younger generation doesn't really want to work in factories, so everything has changed. And this creates more problems, and we are always trying to find solutions. So it's not only COVID, it's not only the disruption of the value chain, it's not only the prices, there is also a skill shortage. There is a lot of discussion again about digitization and about new processes as well. So the companies are trying to find solutions, and what we are trying to do with the projects and the hubs and all that is try to assist them, bring them together, and find solutions for all of them, or to help them out in what's happening. Especially in Greece, in the north part of Greece, in Thessaloniki, there is we have the Athens Hub, but there's another hub in Thessaloniki, and they are very strong supporting companies in the inter-regional services with Bulgaria and Northern Macedonia. So, because there is a lot of production taking place there, and they're trying to focus on new services for employment and for and of course all the services that we offer anyway about designers and fashion trends and so on, all that. It's a very difficult situation, but it's something that we're working on, and cooperation is the way forward, I think, and exchange of ideas, of course, and knowledge.
Thank you, Takis, for stressing 2 points which are very important. And I think that CreativeWear PLUS has something to bring there, is in terms of attractivity of the sector for the young generation, and to find the skills which are needed, including skills which are inspired from the past. We need some efforts, and an approach together with the artists for promoting this message is quite interesting to stress. And also to remind, for something which is quite obvious, the importance of taken by the information technologies and all the tools they are providing in order to build a different way of working. And we have seen how this has especially been important during the COVID days. The third question is, what is outdated from what we have experienced in the past? So please try to answer.
It's a difficult question, and I don't think it's outdated, because I think that successful implementation of all these projects, and by the way, I have a list because I started to write down all the projects that came up from Tcbl, and I have at least 3 or 4 more, not only the ones that we are presenting today. I think that the model has to be reinforced. This means that we have to continue provide services. We have to reinforce the services we provide to creative communities and businesses. We have to provide tools in order so they can protect their know-how, the human capital, and continue have these connections, this territorial dimension, but also the connections with other hubs all over Europe, because we are now really a big community. And I would also like to, I'm very confident that all our hubs and all the communities that were part of our project will join the Tcbl association, because we are very lucky that we have a tool that provides us the sustainability of all the activities we did and the projects we implemented in the past 10 years, I may say.
Well, I agree with Lorena, and I think that I don't see very big weak points of the model, because it's something that seems to me alive, so it's evolving. So it's quickly evolving, thanks also to the evolving of the situation, general situation. So I agree that we have to strengthen and enlarge the services that the model is improving, implementing. We have to strengthen links with the territories. We have to broaden the links that we already have. So we already are a community with 40 territories, more or less, already strictly linked and working together in these topics. So I think we have to go on, we have to go ahead, we have to involve other territories, and to focus on circular economy and on the evolution that we can see also in the digital dimension of the textile and clothing production. But there are just two issues that I would put in the most important, let's say, issues that we should develop in the near future. Just two, just to make an example, two examples.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, the good thing about the EU funded projects is that it generates a lot of momentum for new ideas and to try new models and to try new stuff. So this helped us a lot in the past all these years to generate and to evolve, as Filippo said, in new ideas. So nothing is really outdated. It's just a transformation. So we're transforming ourselves, we're transforming our organizations and the world around us. So Tcbl, in my mind, is something that we should strengthen and we should fully support in order to move in the next generation of companies and services.
Okay, so Thanos left me the last question, which is not the most difficult, don't worry. But before we leave some room to the stakeholders, so please get ready to come on stage, the stakeholders of the hubs. I mean, Sergio, if you want to, just in a few minutes, Martina, if you want to come over, Dino, and the French friends, if you want to share your last impressions before we go to the exhibition. So the last question is, what is the key for successful applying the model in the future? And next to the generic key, which can be cooperating, new ideas and everything, you can give a practical example that has worked or that you just impressed you and you say, oh, this is what is really needed and we should do more in the future. So this is the last question.
It is the most difficult question.
Lorena?
Yes. Well, for the future, we have to stay active and we have to stay connected as the first rule, I think. And then, as a practical and concrete example, I think that what worked well in some of our experimentations in the projects is to help small entrepreneurs or small businesses to make a transition to a circular economy. This is, we talked a lot today about the war, about the COVID, but a little bit less about the climate change, and that is also the next, the current and next disaster that is coming. And I would like to remind all that the circular design is the main tool to redesign the fashion industry. And with the support we gave some of the small companies and designers to make their circular business model and deliver circular products, I think it's the future, is the way to go.
So, Filippo?
Yes, very interesting questions. First of all, as we were saying before, I would, for the next future, I would focus on circularity, on new consumption models, which is very important to affect consumers with new consuming models, and then to stick absolutely to, let's say, European strategies. That means the European strategy for textile, which is taking shape more and more, and also the new European Bauhaus, let's say, I don't know if we can call movement or initiative. Initiative is the right way. Then something that worked very well, I think, the idea to involve more and more young people to make connection with education, because I think that all the activities that have been carried out until now have a very good potential in terms of supporting education in evolving and adapting to the situation which is running away and changing day by day. And I would say also that I think that we have to go on in supporting local productions and small scale production artisans, possibly to I would be very interested in putting them in contact with major companies in order to set up a collaboration at local level, because it would help either the quality, to raise the quality of the industrial production, either to give more, let's say, economic added value to the very small size and artisan productions.
Takis?
So I think they've said everything, but first of all, we have to stay healthy. And then adaptability and cooperation, I think these are the main points for all of us. Everybody is mentioning about skills. For example, there is a very big European program, let's say, Pact for Skills, backed up by Euratex and the Confederation of Footwear, and so it's something that is very important for the next stages of skills in the sector, what the plans are and what will be supported. So we have to keep our eyes open, we have to keep and try to adapt to all these new situations. And of course, if you want something more concrete, funding is always interesting, and it's also very important, especially when we talk about small businesses. We talk to them about these new ideas, about new skills and all this creativity and all this stuff. But if there is no funding associated with that, it's very difficult for them to monitor or to follow this situation. So that's it, I think.
Thank you, Takis. So before leaving final reflections to Thanos, I invite the stakeholders like Fatima, Helena, if you want to call them over, in 2 minutes they will come over with Dino and Sergio, Martina. Thanos, your last words.
I wanted to, because we are speaking of projects and things like that, and I want really to thank the MED program for having invented a new thing, which is capitalization. It's a crucial thing in all the work I have done during years with the European projects. The project is finishing and everything goes to the... So if started enough soon within the project life, concerns for capitalization can produce real effects. And this, I think it's thanks to MED that we have got the message, and we have used it very well in Tcbl, which was not a MED project, but a Horizon project, in order to think, okay, when the project finishes, how we continue to maintain these communities that we have formed, how we continue to address the kind of issues that we have detected, and the conclusion, how we can exploit the conclusions that we have had and go a step further. And in Tcbl, we have done it now clearly, maintaining the team that has worked in Tcbl through Sedex Tcbl, and maintaining the community with whom we worked through Tcbl Association. And this should be is also a model that on which we have worked, and we have succeeded, I must say.
Thank you so much. So I think we can close here the roundtable. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Thanos, for coordinating. Thank you so much. So, the friends from the hubs, Dino, you had an urge to share, and also the other ones. I don't know, Sergio, if you want to come over and say a few more things, or Martina, or whoever. It's an open sharing of impressions from the stakeholders, which means not directly the partners of the project, but the people that were working behind the scenes. I don't know if the French friends from Nuno want to share, or yes. And I know that the friends from Portugal, from Alentejo, are on the way. And who more? Okay, this is the time to talk. Jesse, also, if you want to join and say the last few, very, very few words afterwards, if you enjoy to. Otherwise, we just listen to the stakeholders, and then we go to the exhibition. Fatio. So, Dino, as they come, I think you can start sharing. So,
okay,
go ahead.
Am I on? Okay. You will have to forgive my schoolboy notes because I'm currently running on 2 cups of Italian coffee, and it's a drive. So, the one thing that I would like to reflect on is that, like, all of us who work within the textile industry, we know that like textile industry is very resistant to change. When I go to the industrial level production facility and I mention something like CAD, automatic cutting, to the people who have been working there for about 40 or 50 years, it sounds like as if I summoned the devil. It's like, please don't talk like that. We don't like working with computers, machinery, and such. And to be honest, textile industry is like one of the last creative industries that is sort of lagging behind in terms of digital tools, machinery, even though some progress has been made, but we have like a lot to go. So while these programs and projects that have been collaborating, we try to offer a few solutions. For example, the zero waste concept or the patchwork concept that I've been working on have been very interesting to work on. But these concepts are not the concepts that are going to offer a definitive answer to the question of what waste industry in terms of textile is. So I myself as a designer and somebody who works within the textile industry cannot offer one single answer to all the problems that we have. So we need to approach these problems as a multidisciplinary. We need a lot of people who work from very different viewpoints. We need technicians. We need people who can code. We need people who can create new machines. We need people who can create new concepts and so on. So the change needs to start from various viewpoints. why these projects are very important. They're important because they give us the space and they give us the time to explore these various concepts and to bring these various people into one place. And that is why development agency of Tcbl is very keen to continue working on these kinds of projects and to invest into futures in order to create maybe new techniques, to invite some people who normally wouldn't be part of the conversation, and to talk about certain problems that some people are very resistant to talk about. Basically, all of us need to come together, and we need to solve this like right now. We need to solve the textile management right now. We need to employ new techniques right now, and that is why we need people with heritage experience, such as Fatima. We need people who can connect various different peoples, like our Branka. And we need people who can establish these communication channels, such as Interreg or other umbrella agencies who manage these kinds of projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Sergio, if you want to
Hello.
share, yes,
Okay.
final impressions. Thank
It works. First of all, I want to apologize because sometimes when I speak, I'm quite strong, I'm quite hard, and I don't mean to be mean. Well, from all the Congress, from all we have done, all we've seen, all we shared, I see that, well, I'm afraid that there is something missing. And I would love to fix some points that we should think about to better our market, to better the actual situation. As we have all seen, sustainability, recycling, upcycling are the main topic to work on. But how to work on? Just like, well, we do it by hands, we do it with machines, but we don't talk enough about communication. There is a big lack of communication. Nice projects, everyone is having nice project, but it seems that every one of us is like not stuck to reality, but just in another planet. We have to face big holdings. The big holdings are the biggest enemy of the little fashion market. The biggest holdings, they have the power to communicate, the power to use social network, the power to do commercials everywhere. No one in this Congress, I'm sorry to say that, and I really apologize, no one was talking about how to face the big sharks in this world. Then, the other point, how can we make upcycling, recycling, or, well, sustainability a luxury point? We should work more on it, because young, they need to feel this. Well, I'm a teacher, professor at the academy. I have like young people as students, very young people. Some of them, they are quite tired by the ideas of sustainability, recycling and upcycling. But I could say, and I could swear cross on my heart, that they're more attracted from what the social influencer or the big brands are talking about. I think we should arrange something cool, because at the moment sustainability becomes cool only if made by the big sharks. And we should think about this. We should increase, I think, the communication, thinking like big companies to face the world. The third point, and the last, and so it's over. The economical, political health moment is not that good. Well, for us in Europe, it's not that good as it was like 3 years ago. and 3 years ago it wasn't good at all. So we're getting worse. Well, there are a lot of solutions, and one that came up from this Congress can be that we can be independent, because every one of us is able to find solution to create a little project, to create little stuff. Maybe we should work on it. I will call it like autarky. Autarky is not the solution. It can be just a solution for this moment. And being able to create by ourselves, to produce by ourselves, to invent by ourselves in this moment, it can be helpful to survive, and in the meanwhile finding all the solution I was looking for. And I think we face everyone the same problem. Of course it was thinking technically. I said, okay, he's right, because, well, I need technology too. But I'm thinking, how can I sell it? Because if we do garments, we have to sell it. It's not a work of art, and it has to be used. And this is a big point. My students ask me, and I cannot be like fake and telling, no, it's good, you're the queen with the drawings, with your drawings and with your ideas. It doesn't work like this, because now, at the moment, it works that they have good communication, good product, a strong chain. We should find a way to be as strong as the sharks, as strong as the big, or at least find a way to be at a good level. But I didn't think about it. So, I apologize if I was strong, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergio, for a lot of inputs, I should say, even more than we can really discuss in a short time. Yeah. No, but lots of things that...
I apologize, sorry.
No, that's fine, because I think the most part, the greater part of the people here do think about these things and agree mostly. And so, to be bolder in our communication of deeper values, here we have a living example, Elena and Fatima, who will be supported by Fatima herself to express deeper values.
Okay, so these are the two weavers, and they just want to say some words about the collaboration.
Meu nome é Fátima Mestre, venho de Mértola, Portugal. Sinto-me muito feliz por ter trabalhado neste projeto da Fátima Durque. É um projeto muito importante para nós, para Mértola, para Portugal. Tenho-lhe muito a agradecer a ela por nos ter ajudado, que isto é muito, muito importante para nós. Obrigado, e precisamos de muito mais coisas destas. Obrigada.
She was thanking us for the project, and she said it's really important to have projects like this, and they hope that they have more of them. Yeah.
Eu, Maria Helena, trabalho em Mértola na oficina de selagem há muitos anos, há 34 anos, que faço os padrões antigos, que são muito importantes. Mas também é muito importante o projeto da Fátima, porque ela deu-nos a liberdade de, com os mesmos padrões, fazermos peças mais novas e transmitir aos mais novos que é importante trabalhar nestes trabalhos artesanais, em que nem só o antigo, mas se for adaptado a esta gente mais jovem, aos designers que nos ajudaram também, é um trabalho muito importante e que irá dar trabalho a outras pessoas, que será para Mértola, mas também será para Portugal e para o mundo inteiro. Pessoas que gostam destes trabalhos, e vamos continuar a fazer e transmitir aos mais jovens para que eles não nos sigam as pesadas e continuem com os nossos trabalhos. Muito obrigada.
She was saying how this project was important because we were able to take traditional patterns and reinterpret them into new ways. And it was really interesting for them to work on that and to also see the reaction from the community and how projects like this help attract a younger generation because they see a freshness to it and they see that it can continue and can evolve, that it's important for their community but also Portugal and other communities like theirs. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, so we are on time, so to say. Thank you all to participate in this beautiful conference. I think we couldn't end better than this. So enjoy the exhibition. See you downstairs. Bye.
Just a few words. Now we will go for a tour on the exhibition. We will start from the Bosnia and Palermo area down the stairs, and then we move to Portuguese, and then we move to France section. So I invite all the involved partners to come across the group and briefly explaining what is in the exposition and the reasons why of the items produced. Thank you very much.